Well, when I was raised Southern Baptist, and when I was a senior in high school, I read Shank Claiborne.
Oh, okay.
So
I was just talking about him.
Yeah, I think it was Jesus for President was the first one I read, and it completely opened my eyes. I was like, there's a different way of thinking about Christianity and politics and society, and I had never experienced anything like that before. I mean, I was always considered kind of the thinker, the sentimental one in the family that was, more prone to have a bleeding heart about anything, but that really kind of set that, reputation in stone, and I started just thinking about what it meant to be a Christian and how that could influence the way that I interact with, other people and interact with the political process and or don't interact with the political process. It kind of goes both ways. But and then I think from there it just evolved. I was 17 when I read that. I'm 21 now, so I mean it hasn't been that long, but I've changed a lot since then. But that was the turning point, I think. Well, I had been I studied abroad in Scotland this time last year. So, when the Arab Spring was happening and everything, I was in Scotland, and when the big riots in London were happening, against the budget cuts, I wasn't in London, but I had a lot of friends who went down to London to join in, I guess. And so I kind of, last year was just protest theme for me, I guess. It was always, surrounding. And so I guess when I came back, or, while I was there, I was like, nothing like this would ever happen in the United States. People are, lazy and complacent. And, well, I shouldn't say that. It's not true. But people tend to be more complacent and, don't feel quite as compelled to protest in that way, I guess. And so came back, and then the Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street kind of fired up. And I was following that with great interest. And then I heard that there was going to be a meeting in Dragon Park, I think it was October 2nd, and it was a Sunday, and that was going to be the first, it wasn't quite a GA, but the first, I think it was called like an interest meeting or something in OccupyNashville, and there were close to 200 people there. Were you there?
I wasn't there.
It was, I think there were close to 200 people there, and it was invigorating. I don't know, it was like, wow, this is so neat, and I'm so, so many things need to change, and, if it's, I was hearing about them popping up in different cities. I was like, when's Nashville coming? And then it came, and so that started then, I guess. That's what made me want to do it.
For me, I kind of dropped off my spiritual journey after I got involved with tying Nashville together. And about 6 years ago, I was hired by Tennesseans for Fair Taxation to be the Middle Tennessee organizer and lobbyist and work on justice issues, economic justice within the tax system. So when Occupy came along, I immediately recognized the common interest in economic justice. And Tennesseans for Fair Taxation decided that we really would be involved officially with Occupy. And, on a, not put 100% of our weight and effort into Occupy, but certainly collaborating with Occupy. Getting to know, building relationships with folks in Occupy. And I did go to the first rally in the Plaza on October 6th. I was out of town that weekend when the decision was made to actually occupy the Plaza. But I attended the rally the next Saturday, the 15th of October, wearing Tennesseans for Fair Taxation's mascot costume, the empty plate that's a 6-foot diameter disc that says, empty plate says, take the tax off food. And with a fork and a knife in my hands, a big cardboard mock fork.
They're starting to meet you halfway on that, right?
Yeah, anyway. In fact, Occupy did take an official stance opposing the constitutional ban on an income tax. So, I think it is clear that there's a strong alignment between our justice views and Occupy's. Then when there started to be threats of removing Occupy, I thought that would be a serious blow to the movement if it occurred, and that the government and the governor's means of accomplishing that were wrong and unconstitutional. So I was willing to put my freedom on the line and be one of those on the plaza who were illegally detained and taken to jail that day, and completely vindicated by the federal court and by the state's ultimate decision to withdraw all of those citations. So that's the first time for me to go to jail. But it was a great experience. I think I got a feel of what it might have been like for some of the civil rights folks who went to jail, because we were singing and chanting and just building solid relationships in the holding rooms at the Metro Jail. I think that really created a lot of solidarity among the participants in Occupy. Did you go to jail?
My grandfather passed away that weekend, and I didn't know how long they were going to be holding us. I didn't want to risk missing the funeral. I was on the plaza, but I didn't get arrested.
And I think that's something that's often lost. The detractors of the Occupy movement think that it's just a few people, but there's so many more who would be there if their circumstances permitted. And if the entire system were not so oppressive that employees felt threatened by firing if they participate with Occupy, I think that's just a pervasive aspect of the oppression system that's operating in the United States now.
So, what happens with Occupy Nashville? If they get their way, the way it's going right now.
You mean if the legislature gets its way?
I'm not expecting it to go away, but it's got to,
it will be there.
Some other way of being present.
And
even Occupy Nashville, they're not forbidding that either, just the camping part, which
it will continue to exist. It will continue to meet, and among the topics in the meetings will be, where do we go from here? I don't think anybody's decided that yet. I think people are starting to throw ideas around, but until there's a General Assembly meeting and there's consensus on what to do next, nobody can say what's going to be done next.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about phase 2 and what that implies and what it could entail. And I'm really in favor of more movements like the, Occupy foreclosures or Occupy homes, or we've been working on the Helen Bailey case, which is just so incredible.
Did you see the op-ed in today's paper?
I didn't think so. Yeah. We've been working on the Helen Bailey case. It's awesome. Oh, Johanna, look her. And I think that's really what the Occupy movement, at the heart of it, is to stand on the side of these disenfranchised communities and individuals that are just being completely stomped over, by banking interests, by what have you. And so I really see phase 2, if you will, having a lot to do with that. Whether it's creating alternative communities that don't just band-aid the ills of the that the 1% creates, but offers an alternative. I think that's, in some ways, if we're going to tie it into theology, what the church is supposed to do is it's supposed to be not just a a charity organization, so not just a band-aid, but offer an alternative. If you are tired of the ways of the world, come join us. We've got this great thing going, and I don't know. I see Occupy doing something similar, or I would like it to see.